who's representing the Fight Back Foundation. They want their bond money.
And using violence to disrupt those protests. The defendant came to our community. He's not a resident. He's underage. He's out after curfew. He's armed with an illegal weapon. Why? That is the question. His state of mind, his intent that night, is a crucial issue in this case. The defense will no doubt try and portray the defendant as an altruistic, young, idealistic individual who was here to try and help our community, protect a business, clean up graffiti, use his medical supplies to help people in need. They will try and show his state of mind as being a positive, helping one.
If they are trying to establish that he had some motive 2.5 months before, teenagers getting into a fist fight, does that make it more or less probable? Is it a fact of consequence that he was in a fight 2.5 months earlier, that he did not act in self-defense in this case? Does that make that more or less probable? The answer is it does not. It doesn't have anything to do with whether or not it makes it more or less probable that he acted in self-defense. The entirety of this is captured on video. The only issue in this case is going to be the reasonableness of those actions as they're determined subjectively and then objectively from a reasonable person in his position. So they describe him as being somebody who comes to Kenosha looking for trouble, even though they don't mention he works in Kenosha. He works in Pleasant Prairie, and that his father lives in Kenosha. And I would submit to you that when you look at the similarities, if we're really going to do a Sullivan analysis, the biggest thing in Sullivan that was different really was the manner and form in which one was a verbal argument, one was an assault. And if we have reached the position where teenagers getting into fistfights makes it more probable that a teenager then used a firearm in self-defense, when we have the self-defense on tape, we have the case on tape, I would submit to you it adds nothing to that determination as to whether or not his actions were or were not in self-defense and whether they were or were not reasonable under the circumstances.